joining us for this session. Basically, beach clubs are big business these days. So, and looking at the overall market in 2024, the global beach club market size was estimated to be $7.2 billion. That is anticipated to more than double by 2033, to $14.5 billion. So we're here today to talk about the business of beach clubs. And we have an excellent panel before you. And I would like to start by just asking all the panelists to give everyone a little overview of where you are now and what's your vision moving forward. Because I think you're all at kind of really interesting points in the journey of your brands and your businesses. Ryan, should we kick off with you?
Thank you. Hi, everybody. We're a group of we're a group that has various verticals within our company. We have development, so we're busy building towers and villas under that side of our business. Under the hospitality, we have beach clubs, we have restaurants, we have other bits and pieces. Under sports and leisure, we have precision football, which we're about to go into Saudi with, which is in Ibn Battuta. And we have a professional football team, and we also have a university program that we've just started now. We do investments, where we just purely invest into like H&H and other projects. We have what am I missing? Hotels and resorts. So we just bought an island in Maldives, and we're doing a hotel in Maldives, a very ultra luxury hotel in Maldives, and I think that's about it. It's enough.
In the beach club world, you guys have two concepts here in Dubai, correct?
So we have one on W on the Palm and one in called Gitano in J1. So we have two beach clubs here, and we're building some more obviously in Maldives.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. Okay, so the world of Namos. We currently have our property in Mykonos, as everyone would know. We're very well known for our Mykonoan history. We've been operating for well over 20 years now. And then many of you here in the Dubai market would know of Namos, the famous Namos Dubai, which has been operating since 2019. But we are absolutely on an exciting journey, not just from the restaurant side of things, but now as the inaugural CEO for the Hotels and Resorts division, we're entering into the world of hospitality with our first property, which opened 2 years ago in Mykonos. So we've got an amazing 30-key hotel operating just alongside our beach club there. And we're under development as part of the larger Amala precinct in Saudi Arabia with our great partners Red Sea Global. And at the same time, nearby Ryan in the Maldives,
we're neighbours.
We're opening an extraordinary ultra-luxury property in early 2027, 48 keys and 7 private island villas. So we're very much on the move. It's an exciting time for Namos. And yes, our origins are certainly from the beach club concept, which is very famous from our Mykonoan history, and off the back of our success here in Dubai and also in Cannes in the south of France, we're really excited to see the evolution of Namos move into the world of ultra-luxury hospitality.
Fabulous. And remind me, when's the reopening here? Because you've
here in Dubai in
refurb, I believe.
Mid-December, so not too far away. We're really excited. It's obviously going to be a new chapter for Namos, and it gives us a great opportunity to re-enter as a really iconic restaurant and food and beverage concept that we're so well known for. Many of you would know Namos Dubai here as one of the highest yielding restaurants in the world, and we're looking forward to really reinstating our position here in a strong way. And yeah, we're only a matter of a month away from that moment.
Exciting. Now, Olivier, I think Ricas is a group that is very well known in this market, obviously. But do you want to just run us through your beach club properties that you have around the world and those that are opening?
So Ricas now is not only Ricas, it's also Paris Society combined. Mm-hmm. And we are fortunate enough to have in the region Twiggy and Twiggy family, which are very well known. Not on? Yeah. Kima, Tago Mago, but also we have Maison Revka, Gigi, which has 3 different branches around the world, and a 4th one opening in Miami next year. Mm-hmm. And currently we're working on 2 beach clubs in Ras Al Khaimah. We're also working in Abu Dhabi, and Maldives is also on the card for us in terms of beach club.
Perfect. Thank you. Philippe.
Hello, everyone. Lastly, I'm Philippe from Barrière. Barrière is a French hospitality leisure group, hospitality and leisure group. We operate hotels, restaurants, of course, and of course beach clubs. That's why we're here. Today we have a few brands, one of which, and that's what we're going to talk about today, is Lulu. Lulu is a brand that originated in France with beach clubs and restaurants. We are currently present in Paris, in Saint-Tropez, of course, in Roquebrune, which is near Monaco, charming little town, as well as in Courchevel in the French Alps.
Fabulous. Now, the audience today is hotel asset owners, investors, operators. So looking at it from their perspective, Olivier, starting with you, what would you advise them when they're trying to decide whether to bring in a brand or to create a beach club within their properties?
I think it's worth spending a lot of time to explore each other, to get to know each other, and to understand what are the values of the brand that you intend on bringing and the values which this particular hotel brand. Very often, sometimes we see hotel brand partnering with beach clubs, where you kind of don't understand where is the connection there, but it's important to be involved right from the start, to really be involved with the designing, with the whole layout of the place, to be open and frank. And you have to understand not all brands are suitable for all locations and vice versa.
So I think this is one of the things we discussed, is the idea of a brand versus a concept. So I know, Ryan, you have one brand that you've brought in from Tulum, and then a concept that you've created specifically for the W at the Palm. What are the differences, would you say, and how do you make that decision?
I think each of them have their own challenges. One, it's easier because you have more control, you have more flexibility and the ability to do really what you want within the parameters of what you're trying to create. But then you have to build it from scratch. So it takes a long time getting the name out there, marketing it. It's a lot of work. When you take in a brand, you hopefully buying the equity that the brand comes with. So there's people know it. There's set standard procedures, stuff in place that should make it easier for you to operate and easier, and it gives you something desirable for people to want to come to. So it's a toss-up between the two, right?
Fair enough. And I think, Philippe, one of the things that you were mentioning is this idea of a concept versus a brand. And how would you describe that?
Yes, absolutely. So you start, all ideas start with a concept and then evolve into a brand, right? But for that, you need consistency. You need consistency in your delivery, in food and beverage, of course, in service, and in design and in your DNA that becomes iconic. People want to follow that DNA. They want to have that sense of belonging. And as you grow on 1, 2, 3 projects with very similar DNA, very similar consistency, of course, then you build a brand that becomes something people want to belong to. And then after that comes all the selling of merchandising, all the events, all the partnerships, and that's what makes a brand stronger.
So just quickly, going back to the merchandising, one figure that you kind of threw out there, how much was it that you're generating just from one venue in merchandising for Lulu's?
Yeah. So in Saint-Tropez, Lulu is a very sought-after concept. So we have about a bit more than 1 million or 1.2 million in merchandising per summer. We only open 4 months a year. So it shows you that people want to take that ashtray home, want to take that cap home, want to take a piece of that memory they had at your venue back home.
How do you get them to pay for it?
Yeah, when you want to belong, you pay, right? Aman does the same. You have a lot of these brands with a sense of belonging that is quite strong.
So I think we touched on something before in terms of the DNA. So we had been discussing kind of what makes a DNA of a beach club have the ability to stretch into other areas. So you guys are now taking Namos into residences, into hotels. What do you think is at the core of that DNA that makes it a valuable asset for real estate owners to put on their properties?
I think that's a great question. Obviously, there's been a lot of thought and consideration going into the expansion of Namos and how you can take that core DNA and your true sense of why And I really think you need to self-reflect on how strong is your existing brand. For Namos, we have the longevity, operating successfully for over 20 years. From a brand equity standpoint, also, I think the value of the brand collaborations and that strong cultural influence that we have from the very beginning, aligning with the likes of Dior, Gucci, Loro Piana, and it's more of a more than just a location for our brand partners. It's very much the strength of Namos as a brand. So I think having that complementary brand collaboration gives the essence of the experience far more gravitas. And I really think the financial power that Namos brings to any asset. So, I mean, reflecting on the success of Namos here in Dubai, the fact that we became the highest yielding resort / beach club in the world is quite a phenomenal aspect that no other hotel company
can you just give us the number again? Because the number was crazy.
I think 1 year it was yielding over $70 million a year. Obviously, in any market, you need to be prepared that competition sets in, particularly in a dynamic market like Dubai, where the beach club concept has become far more apparent, and other concepts have come into play. So I think you really do need to stop and reflect and understand how you continue to bring your differentiation to any environment. But I think when you've got such strong brand equity in play, and you combine that with your ability to execute on the entire ecosystem. So you have to look at all of the touch points across the hospitality aspect, and we feel really confident with regards to our level of service, our incredible execution across our dining experience, the holistic ability to engage with our customers from whether they're coming to us for lunch or dinner or evening cocktails, if they're here to tan for the day. I think what we're able to bring is very much an elevated, celebratory, social aspect to hospitality that I think in the ultra-luxury space is a white gap, and we're really excited to be able to achieve that.
Fabulous. Now, just touching on something you mentioned there, I think this idea of taking a brand into the beach club space, for example. So you guys have brought both brands, iconic brands, into the beach club space, which were previously restaurants. How and why do you make that decision to do so? Olivier, do you want to start?
I think that there's always not every brand will be able to be stretched into the beach club arena. And you have to look at brands like Gigi, which started in Paris on a rooftop and was stretched then onto Ramatuelle, and it was a perfect fit for J1. We've done.
Can we just talk about J1 for a second? Because it is a phenomenal success. It really has been one of the big stories of this season or this year. What do you think that's down to, or what elements do you think really have come together to make it such a successful concept?
I think, and coming back to what we discussed earlier, when you're going to deploy a brand, a strong brand like Gigi, it's a serious investment that you need to make. And sometimes people don't realize how much of an investment needs to be to develop such a brand. Also in terms of upkeeping. But you need to be extremely careful of the location. And for us, the J1 was the right location to put such iconic brand as a Gigi, as a beach club. But Gigi currently is operating in cities, on rooftop of the Orient Express in Rome. It's developing further into Bodrum in the Mandarin Oriental. It will be opening in the Delano Hotel in Miami. And everywhere we need to craft a different narrative which matches the environment.
Fair enough. And so, Philippe, you guys have done something similar with Lulu's.
Yes, absolutely. So, just circling back as well to what Olivier was saying today, when you create a brand such as Gigi or such as Lulu, you want to be involved as early as possible. You mentioned that at the beginning, Olivier, as early as possible in the process, because it's not only putting loud music and truffle pizza that's going to get people in, right? So you want to have a dynamic, you want to have a location that builds on memories, and that You want to be involved in the design, the flow, and the artistic direction of the property to know what kind of music is going to play, what lighting is going to be there. So it's very important that your development makes sense, right, all the way to your future clientele or existing clientele. If you know about it, if they don't know about it yet, you should know about it before they do, right? That's the idea. And we originated exactly like Gigi in Paris as well, with Loulou in Paris at the Musée du Louvre. We also have it as well in Ramatuelle, so we have a very similar development. And our DNA, when we look to develop, we search for locations that resonate with our brand, resonate with our ethos, with good partners that understand the value we're going to bring to their brand moving forward, both in terms of financials, but also in terms of brand image.
So Ryan, being on the other side of it, what did you look for when you were selecting a brand to bring to Dubai in J1?
We believed that the location would work, and then along with the landlord, we looked at what was missing. So there was clearly not a gap for Mediterranean, because there were some great concepts that we wouldn't have ever competed against. And the Gitano space, which is day, evening, and then dinner dance, which is something that's a little bit different to what everybody else is doing. And I think we've done quite a good job of creating that experiential dining and transition into day and night, and it's about finding the right concept for the right location. So I always look for a location and then see what fits into it, as opposed to trying to shoehorn something into a location. So I've got a brand, I need to find a place for it. I always try and do it the other way around.
That makes sense. And I think one of the things we were discussing as well is really how you can, how you decide what kind of beach club you have. So we were talking about kind of programming in terms of whether you look at it as a beach club that's for families or that's festive. And I think operationally, people don't necessarily understand the intricacies and the differences. What would you say are the key kind of differences or things that you need to be aware of if you're bringing on a beach club and a beach club brand?
And from my perspective, we as Recast have different types of beach clubs. And I always refer to, we have restaurants with a beach, and we have beach with a restaurant. So for me, Twiggy is a beach with a restaurant, whereas Tagomago or Mezarevka are restaurants with a beach. So you have already this perspective, which is slightly different. But then you have to look at what type of beach club, whether it's more family-oriented or whether it's more a party venue and everything. So, and it's a different ways of working. And the key thing is really the team which is running those venues. You don't run a festive beach club the same way as you run a classical beach club or a family-oriented beach club. And especially hotelier, restaurants are finding it a little bit difficult, but hotelier find it even more difficult to adapt to this festive mentality and to the way of working, because we tend to be very system-driven. We tend to be very, okay, I've got this table sitting at this time, and I need to stand it at that time and everything. Whereas in the festive world, you need to work very, very differently. You need to work at, okay, I'm going to put those people here because they look good, and I'm going to put those people here because they're going to spend. So you're crafting a stage and a theater. So very, very different ways of working.
And your experience needs to be your experience needs to be relevant to your target audience as they're staying for a long period of time. And the longer they stay, right, the more revenue you make through different moments of the day, lunch, afternoon drinks. If you keep them in the evening, perhaps some bottles they're going to have on the table. So that's how you drive revenue. If you are relevant, if you're not relevant, the guests will get bored or leave or not come back. Even worse.
I think sorry to interrupt, but I think the party, because we have two quite different beach clubs. One in W is a pure party venue, and looking at how they manage that compared to the other one, it's a different craft. It's a completely different thing. I don't understand the beach club party side of it. I understand the luxury and the service element of that, but the party side for me is, I just look at it and go, what? And then the way that the managers talk, but it's the way the GM speaks about it, the way the staff speak about it, it's a completely different thing. It's foreign for me, but they get it and they understand it. And I think us as owners, we are in a position to have to understand what they're doing and facilitate it, as opposed to and I think it would be the same with a hotel. If you go into a hotel, they need to understand what you're trying to create, and work with you, or as I say, it's a completely different beast.
So I think that's crucial in terms of who you're working with as a partner. So for you, Carolyn, what are you looking for from a partner?
I just think, you're really looking for that alignment. As an example, our partners at RSG and Amala, that's our first hotel management agreement. So just to reflect on our growth and our blended pipeline, so to speak. So we own and operate in Mykonos. We will be owning and operating in the Maldives. But for Amala, it's a pure management agreement, and I think from those particular opportunities, you're looking for like-minded owners and developers that really do buy into the brand ethos and buy into the brand value that they're looking to place into the overarching ecosystem of their precinct. And Amala, for those of you that would be aware of the offering there, it's an extraordinary new world-class wellness offering. Now, one might think, oh, how does Namos fit into that? But I think going back to the stretching of the brand and stretching of the brand equity, that we have such a strong foundation to play and to offer any developer, whether that be in Saudi and many other destinations that we're in discussions with today. We've got a very unique proposition to offer any developer that is looking for a unique, fresh, new, elevated, sophisticated brand that is nimble. We can work quickly. We don't have large standard operating procedures. We have a fresh alternative to an operator's mindset that is bringing in a sophisticated, elevated, Mediterranean glamorous brand. And I think any developer is looking for a combination of offerings. So it might be combination of more traditional hospitality offerings, but what we really do like with RSG is that they're looking to create a destination that is full of many different offerings for their clientele, and it also gives us a great platform to bring new peripheral offerings to the world of Namos. Our first Namos Spa will be unveiling, our first Namos Kids Club. We'll have an opportunity of bringing all of our existing brands that have done so well in the Namos Village in Mykonos, and the collaborations that we've worked with here in Dubai, and building on those brand collaborations, and how do you bring the power of the brand to life in locations that are uncharted, such as Amala, and that's a very exciting proposition. But no, I mean, all of the other conversations we're in with world-class developers are very excited about the differentiation that Namos brings to the table. And I think once you've got that aligned sense of excitement of what the returns could mean to a developer's portfolio, that's the key.
Well, so that's really interesting. So I was chatting to a friend who is one of the leading consultants in the region, and she was saying that they, if they're bringing in an international beach club brand, they account for an anticipated up to 20% uplift in ADR for that property, which is quite significant. And Philippe, you were mentioning this in your Courchevel property.
Yes, so Courchevel, as you imagine, is not a beach club, but it is also a Lulu property. And we changed the F&B brand we had in Courchevel last year to add in a Lulu, which is, I think, a 70 or 80-seater Lulu. And that increased the whole property's ADR by 40%. So you see that a brand like Lulu can draw a clientele that feels a sense of belonging for that brand, that want them ensure a table when they are quite limited.
I mean, we're taking the same approach in the Maldives. We're creating an island in the middle of our lagoon for a specific beach club. And we know with the right brand of beach clubs, as much as we could do it ourselves, but with the right brand of beach club, and people know that there's that value to go there, it will absolutely elevate our hotel.
And I think any developer needs to look at the pool of customers that brand is already achieving. So for Namos, we're achieving almost 1,000 covers annually and 90% international visitation. So if you add that component to any resort or hotel development across any destination, one would say that if their typical market mix doesn't hit those targets, what value could that add to the bottom line? And I think that's the important component. So whether it's an uplift in ADR, whether it's an increase to the proportion of mix between F&B and rooms revenue, every developer's wanting to know how they're going to significantly increase the return of their investment. So if a brand is already delivering exceptional results, one would suggest that they could only add value to that development proposition.
Yeah, but it also might be a loss leader. You might actually lose money on the brand because
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
operations, the cost, the franchise, but it adds so much value to the whole property that it makes sense to do it. So you've got to look at it holistically.
Just quickly, Olivier, what kind of agreements are you working with in your current beach clubs? Because you have a whole variety, I believe.
So the agreement we're working with, it's we have our own leases, and we also have management contracts. So they are really the two key elements for us. This is really what we're pushing forward.
And from your perspective, what is really crucial for a hotel, from the hotel asset owners and the hotel operators' perspective, to make it work, to make the partnership work?
Yeah, and it's having this clear communication right from the start to give us you're bringing us, trust in us. You're bringing us to guide you and to make sure that together, with having an open book, having an open discussion, we take the right decision in order to bring the business forward. We know what we're doing. Trust us. We're going to tell you what we're going to do. It's not going to come as a surprise, but you're going to have to let go some of the control in order for us to maximize the different venue that we have.
And, absolutely right, Olivier. If hotel owners don't believe in hotel F&B anymore, it's for a reason, right? Because it's probably failed, and a number of times the hotel F&B or a hotel's restaurant is not drawing the local community. It remains a hotel restaurant. So that's why we, Barrière, purchased Lulu a couple of years ago. That's why Ennismore, I believe, is also associating with Paris Society or with Ricas. So you have these specialists swimming in their own lane and doing what they do right and combining to a bottom line that's more interesting.
Yeah, last night I signed our beach club in Montenegro. So we've just done a deal to go to Montenegro.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Which one are you taking there? Which brand? Are you creating a brand?
PCH, no?
PCH.
Yeah, the one from W. Because they know we will have the DJs, we have the staff, we have everything. We just pick it up, we go. It's a seasonal thing, and it really adds value to the hotel. And it's great for us because it covers our summer. So we send all our staff across there.
Fair enough. So a final thought, Ryan. What are two of the key elements to getting a beach club right?
When I find out, I'll let you know. No, I think location is important. Always the first thing, and even with a big brand, and I've done some big brands over time. You got to have the right location and probably size. I'm very cautious. Gitano is 15,000 square feet, so for a beach club it's small, but we can fit 400 covers, and so if I've got 100 covers, it feels cozy and it feels nice. We don't need that volume. So for me, it's size. I know that you guys have got a different model, but it's not doing something too big, but also the location and understanding what your concept is. That's crucial. That's your DNA, and brand values.
Culture is king. I think always stay true to your why, and consistency is crucial. So everything from your guest experience, your service delivery, your intuitive ability to connect with people, and obviously your staff. Keeping those consistencies throughout is recipe for success.
I mean, I believe we bring a different focus in terms of how we would commercialize a place. And we were talking a bit about it earlier. Hotels work in a much more macro market, where they look at long-term bookings, long-term growth, and mice, and so on and so forth. Whereas we, as an F&B operator or beach club operator, work much more on the micro. We work with the local market. We work with the local bookers, with the local agencies, and we are a lot more nimble. And we need to be a lot more nimble. We're not going to prepare 2-3 years plan. For us, it's much more instant. It's much more on a quarterly basis and how we can maximize on a daily basis.
Finally, so yeah, location again, of course, is key. F&B for us is if you nail F&B, everything else follows. You have F&B, yes, thank you, and service is very, very important as well. And finally, staying relevant. Staying relevant is a key point. Staying relevant to your clientele throughout is perhaps the most important.
Okay, and I'm going to ask you one last question. I know I said I did before, but I forgot to ask this, and this is crucial. I'm going to ask you, how do you stay competitive in a market like Dubai? Because it is so difficult out there. I don't need to tell you, Ryan. You've got 2 beach clubs competing in this market. How do you stay relevant and successful in a market like this?
the minute, I think, what I try and do is get, from an experience perspective, and I know this is going to sound completely counterintuitive, but is to get people to put their phones down. So 10 years ago, everybody was, let's make things Instagrammable. And there was Instagrammable divers in toilets and whatever. For me, it's about creating something that gets people to actually put their phones down and become part of the experience. And that's, let's say, at the moment, that's what I'm really focusing on, is make something good enough to get people to not want to take pictures, but actually interact and be part of it. And that's
I think just don't take your customers for granted. I think it is a really highly competitive, oversaturated market for sure, but I think with confidence, re-engaging constantly with your customers is key. And be confident. I think in any market, whether it's New York, Paris, Dubai, Singapore, I mean, every market is competitive. So there's room for everybody. It's a huge market. But I think if you can differentiate yourself, understand your brand equity, and play big.
For me, it's focusing on your core. So F&B is a big core for us, for Recast. Service, food quality, extremely, extremely important. We're not in the business of doing a beach club for 2 years. We're not interested. We want longevity. In order to have longevity, you need to make sure that the experience and what you deliver day in, day out is always on top.
And as we're not in Dubai yet, we don't feel that competitiveness yet, but learning how to say no, right, till you have the right project, and that's what we have done for a number of years now. So learning to wait for the right opportunity. And I think once that and the right partner, of course, and when that opportunity comes up, jumping on it and making it the best long-lived development or long-lived brand or concept that you can have.
Fabulous. Please join me in thanking my panel.